Mez Fontaine, this episode, disaster. Tuesdays. Because eyebrows were here for me. Mine were here with Kumo and Tabang. Jehovah. This was the dumpster fire. This was the crime scene. Let's get into it. Then Tabang comes in with his vows to demonstrate that when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. God, what? Face crack. His face was a whole question mark. A whole one. I started off watching this episode thinking, hey, maybe this is going to be the episode where I'm just not... But no. Because Tammy is doing what Tammy does best. Those chat GPT vows. Very detached. Very hollow. Very much a performance. And scene. His words are that he tries to sympathize with her, but some days he's just not in the mood. Guys, D's face cracked. Gooby, good tense, good damn it. It's a lot. Ah! Listen, girl was trying to hold it together while this man was dragging her on national TV in what are supposed to be vows. What Kuzo says is that he's embracing the chaos of the toxic roller coaster that they are on in this relationship, and that he's down for some toxicity. Imonate, D's enjoying the pipe, he's enjoying the crazy, and let's roll the dice. Emoji. Oh wait, Asebenzile Obuitepo giving self-actualized. I know I've done some healing work. I know who I am. I know how to... They're not giving me that, personally. They weren't giving me a lot of anything, to be honest. As I said, question mark, what work? Where was it demonstrated? Me, I didn't see it. What? True love. Re. Where? Like... And I'm here to tell you, no, Zetobile. He doesn't choose you too. He doesn't. Tammy chooses Tammy. Full stop. And maybe I'm willing to give him. There's a 5% of him that is like, let me not look like the villain out of this show. But even that motivation, I think, is pure self-interest and is about managing his image more than actually trying to foster a real, authentic, loving connection with another person. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rakgadi's Views with me, Rakgadi Watsona, where I give you my views on reality. And I am finally coming to you with the finale. Hallelujah! Last episode of Married at First Sight Mzansi, South Africa. And listen, it's been a long journey. It has been exhausting us. It has been entertaining us, but mainly exhausting. So I am so happy we're at the last episode. There is going to be a reunion episode. I don't know if they're doing 2 parts or 1 part. At the end of the week when we get to it. But I'm going to tell you guys right here and right now, strap in. Okay? Because Mez Fontaine, this episode, disaster. Tuesdays. So much was going on. And the only way I can really summarize it all was that, this was commitment ceremony time. And overall, it was just Mez, dumpster fire, crime scene. Okay? Rough, but entertaining. But rough, we were here for it. So, welcome to Rakgadi's Views. Let's get into episode 12 of season 2 of Married at First Sight. Get comfortable wherever you are. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you haven't been here before, thank you for clicking, and welcome to Rakgadi's family, where I do long form reviews of reality that I view. And this is a creative outlet, but also really a channel where we try to learn and see what is mirrored by the people on our television screens in our lives. So let's just get into it. So, as I said, this is the last episode, which is Commitment Ceremony Day. And where the couples are is that they moved out of the apartments where they were filming the majority of the show. And then they had 3 weeks, which wasn't filmed and which we didn't see, living together in accommodation that was offered by production. And then they had a week apart, which they were asked to live apart, not really see each other so that they can be fresh and think about the time for commitment ceremony. So where we start is that everybody in that 1 week period, it seems production had asked people to take video recordings with their phones. And so that's where we are. We're sort of looking at a composite, a collage of all of the videos that people have taken. And we're hearing some feedback from them in terms of where they are in their decision making now that they've had a week and some time apart to think things through. So what I will say is that in those little clips, we hear D, she speaks and she says, communication has been a bit lacking and it wanes in the periods that her and Kuto are not together. And so she feels like they drift apart when they don't actually see each other, they're not in each other's presence. And what she's concerned about is conflict resolution. Then Kuto, he's also doing his stuff in the background there. He's voicing his thoughts, which is that his main consideration is that he doesn't want to be making a decision out of desperation for marriage, which then would make him not see what's in front of him. So he really wants to come at it from a position of rationality, of clarity, and of having weighed up all of the options and making a decision that's best for him. And he says he's looking forward to see how D is going to react to what he has to say, as well as everybody else, which was an interesting comment to make about how everybody else is going to react to that, and that he's looking forward to it. But we'll park that. Sebenzile, he says he's back and forth about his decision, and it's mainly because him and Buitapa haven't had a lot of disagreements. And so in the 2 month period thus far. And so he's really concerned about, going forward, how are they actually going to handle conflict? Because they haven't had the experience of conflict and having to resolve it. And so are we really fine? Or are we just fine because things are fine? And then when things are a mess and a disaster, as they are when two people are trying to live together and figure each other out, how are we going to manage that outside of this show, and I suppose outside of the support that they are given by the experts? So he's a little confused. Boitepo girl is still team Asijigi. She is committed and she is driving ahead, and we all know what decision she's really about making. So she's firm and she's secure in what she's going to say and do when it comes to the commitment ceremony. Then we have Makumo. Makumo says, things between her and Tabang are in a bit of a gray area. And she admits that it stopped being team fun because they were the fun couple, and things stopped being fun during that separation period, and things got very real. And so there was some rocky, choppy waters during that separation period between her and Tabang. And she says now she's at a stage where she feels like there's a missing element between the two of them, but neither of them know what is missing. But we're about to find out, okay, in that commitment ceremony, because drama, Jehovah. Strap in. I'm going to tell you guys, like, strap in, okay? Because what we are going to discuss in this review, and this review, guys, I'm going to try my very best. I'm going to try to limit it to an hour, but no guarantees because there is so much that happened. My notes are even 4 pages long. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot to discuss. I want to leave as Well, I want to put in as much detail as possible, but not make it too long. But lots was happening. Yo, guys, a lot. Yo! But let's carry on. Anyway, then we go to Tabang. Tabang says, he's doubted his future quite a bit in this marriage, and especially with Makumo. And his main question mark and concern is she really fully immersed in this process and in this relationship, and he doesn't know that. Zitobile, she's speaking and she's very emotional, because she says her mom and Tammy have gotten a lot closer. They speak to each other every day. I was like, what? Every day? After 2 months? But okay, maybe that is what you want your spouse to be, forming and building a relationship with their in laws. But because of that close relationship that her mother has with Tammy, she's once again feeling the pressure that the decision that she makes is not going to affect just her, but her mother as well, and her mother's relationship with Tammy. And she says she wants Tammy in her life, but she doesn't know if she's strong enough. And she doesn't know, or she wants to be able to live with her choice, whatever that is. Um, I think it was very telling that all the while Zitobile was talking and expressing this, tears, just tears. There's a lot of internal conflict. I think that she's been going through this whole journey, and specifically here at the end. And I really don't know. When I was watching this, I didn't know. I was like, Zitobile, I just don't know if she can make a decision that is solely hers without including the feelings and the motivations of other people. There's a whiff nyana there of martyrdom, and I don't think it started in this experiment. I think maybe that has been her way of being for a long time, which is why I have been on Tammy's neck the way that I've been, because she has that proclivity for martyrdom, to be then put into a situation of having to be in a marriage with somebody who is so selfish and self-centered, who is so emotionally unintelligent, was just a can of worms. And I know we were trying to make TV here, production, Motswako, Spice, Raja, but now is she actually going to be making a decision that's in her own best interest? We don't know, because Tammy is certainly making the decision that's going to be in his best interest. And she's busy thinking about other people. But we'll get to that part. Then Tammy, he's saying that he's also struggled with his decision making, um, because he struggled a lot with Zitobile's emotions and trying to learn how to navigate that, which was new for him. And he says he thinks about Zitobile, and he's thought about her a lot during the separation. And what he misses is all of the things that she did for him. Doesn't mention missing her company, her personality, her energy. What Tammy misses is all of the things that she does for me. Once again, demonstrating that I think for Tammy, it's really about what is he getting out of it. That is his focus. Um, and then he speaks about, the fact that even while the cameras weren't filming and they were in that separation period, she cried during a disagreement that Tammy and Uzitobile were having. Zitobile was crying because Tammy was bringing up the issue that, Zitobile speaks to her mother quite a lot. They're on the phone every day in the evenings. And obviously, he didn't give a lot of context. But when he addressed that issue with her, she cried. And, he was just like, this is the annoying part that he doesn't know if he can handle, because his words are that he tries to sympathize with her, but some days he's just not in the mood for sympathy and empathy and compassion and care. So, let's get into it. We are now at decision day, and it's the ceremonies. So it looks like it's at Shepston Gardens, so beautiful venue, beautiful backdrop, nature is showing off and doing the best. All of the ladies are in these sort of champagne colored satin dresses. So there was a theme there, and it was great. I think most of them looked good in their dresses. I liked the champagne color of the dresses because it worked for everybody. And so we start with Udi no Kuzo. So we see Dee's walking down the steps, banging body. I'm gonna give it to her. Dee's got a banging body. You can see Gail is putting in time at the gym. Atabidi Tipi, she is doing the things that need to be done. So high five to her. So she talks about the fact that she was instantly attracted. Okay, so now they stand in front of each other. It's her and it's Kuto, and she talks about the fact that she was instantly attracted to him, and that's what scared her a lot. And maybe Kuzo interpreted that as that she didn't like him, but she was just dealing with her own fear of I actually like this guy a lot more than I thought I would. Then she says the universe orchestrated their meeting, fate and all of the things. She then starts crying, real tears this time, and says she'd be foolish to listen to her fear and walk away from something that many people would love to have. And she declares her love for Kuto and that she is in it to win it and that she chooses him. Beautiful. I think we sort of knew that Dee was going to choose to carry on in this relationship with Kuto. So that wasn't super surprising for me. Then we have Kuto who devours Takuto. I was trying to give him grace for the vows when this season started because they are strangers and really what can you write except for something generic. But then these vows also, brada, I think he is coming from his very pragmatic and factual mind, which we have all seen that is, I think, Kuto's way of being and where he thrives. But some of the elements, okay, you know what, before I just react. So Kuto says, there is madness in the relationship and in the dynamic. And that Dee brought a lot of that madness and it gave him a lot of anxiety in the beginning because he did not know how to handle this. But her beauty is what was calming him. Then he says, he thought she was rude and that she looked very mean in the face. Then he says, in the vows, guys, these are vows. King went the notes so that I can remember because eyebrows were here for me. Mine were here. Then he was saying he thought she was rude and mean. And he says he told the guys that he wasn't into drama. And he didn't want to be with someone who wanted to be the center of attention. The fighting and the drama that was going on in their relationship was making this experience a lot more real for him than he would have liked. Guys, Dee's face cracked. Listen, girl was trying to hold it together while this man was dragging her on national TV in what are supposed to be vows. She tried her very best. I'll give it to her. She's a better woman than me because I would have been listening to that stuff and being like, Negro, what? You're not romance, eh? Ha! He dragged her hair. He got his shots in. And that's the one thing I will say about Kuzo Korwena. Because you're quiet, we tend to think for the most part that you are the one osnang matata. But you come from the side and you jab from the back. Undercover. Scorpion. Scorpion. Because even though what you were saying was true and factual and that was your lived experience, really it's just about, was this the time and was this the place to be telling Uti all of these things to her face while cameras are rolling? I know drug her in them vows. But she held it together. And then he finishes it off by calling her annoying, an attention seeker, mean faced, rude, but that she's also very endearing. Guys, if you had seen, I need to actually. Ooh, our experts, Uno Kwanda's face when he was just like, I'm going to take your annoying self.
To continue with this journey with your annoying yet endearing self.
I love it because the Kwanda's face cannot lie. Eyes! Aliso! No Kwanda! And basically, what Kuto says is that he's embracing the chaos of the toxic roller coaster that they are on in this relationship, and that he's down for some toxicity. Imonate, D's enjoying the pipe, he's enjoying the crazy, and let's roll the dice. Emoji. Oh, wait, let me get my other emoji. Retiring, guys, bu crazy, libu toxiki, lim tavazo in the mix, emonate. We can't judge people because, let's be honest, we all know these people. Some of us watching are those people. So, who's gonna tell you to get off the roller coaster? And he even said, there's ups, there's hoso, get it up, get it down. Nervous system earring. Adrenal glands are doing what that time? How much adrenaline is just flowing through our bodies? But you know what? These are two adults who get to choose what they want and what is going to work. Dee's face at the end of these vows, she looked shocked, slightly embarrassed. But then they choose each other, Lamza Basunana, and there they are sitting together in the post ceremony interview. D's out with all the single ladies, making sure that we choke on the ring of chaos and toxicity. Ride the roller coaster, guys. Rona Rebo, who are we? What are we going to say? Go for gold. But, as we have seen already out here in the media space, I don't think these two are together anymore. And once again, I'm going to say, where are the marriage certificates? And were they ever signed? Because, yeah. Anyway, while they're sitting there, are just like pipe. I get. Then Kuto says he's going to call Dee's mom and he's going to do the right things because obviously, families have expectations. And he asks Dee's, like, I'm sure you have expectations. Yes. Didn't hesitate, didn't breathe. She let him know that, like, I've got expectations. You're up, Negro. Then we cut to the experts. So the experts are watching the same video that we watch of the ceremony. So I don't think it's like a live feed for the experts. I think they basically just pre-recorded and watched it before we did. But they're watching what we are watching. So experts say no, they're happy. They say that they've finally found emotional safety with one another, and emotional safety was important for Dee, and Kuto's able to hold that space. But what they all agreed on was that they were going to need more therapy moving forward, and that's for damn sure. Okay? Next couple number 2, we have Sebenzile and Buitepo, a slight snore fest. But because I'm not just doing this for me, I must give you guys the content for those who didn't watch it. I'm going to actually speak through what happened here with these two. So Nokwanda said, listen, this is the other thing I actually just want to make a note of. The experts. The experts that we got in this episode were the experts that we needed in the other 11 episodes of this television show. Because in this episode, they were finally giving us some real analysis that was accurate, that was authentic, that was impactful, and that would have been very powerful. And now I understand, I'm willing to give them some grace to a certain degree that yes, when you are sitting there in the middle of an intervention and you are wearing the hat of an intervener who's providing therapy or who's providing coaching, because I can understand that. It is not always about, it's not actually always, it's, yeah, but it's not always about you voicing your opinions and giving it raw and real unless it is going to be helpful to that particular situation. So I can give them a little bit of grace that they might not have shown up and given the in-depth interventions I was looking for during the therapy sessions, but I love how they show up in this episode because they were actually giving us their real thoughts and opinions, and that's what we needed in the other 11 episodes. I feel like we were getting very produced versions of them. And I don't know if that was necessarily their fault because there are always producers in the background who have a narrative and who have a vision of how things should be going and how things should be running. And there are editors who then come in and chop and cut what's been recorded. So for me, this was lovely. I loved the experts. But if we are taking some notes, whoever is watching or is going to share this with somebody who is in production, can we please just allow the experts to give us their real life opinion next season? I love the mix of the four experts. I think it's great. Number one, that they're all black, that they're all accomplished. For me, all four of them, I mean, Dr. Zenda, I'm still a bit, but I think maybe it's just that I'm not that familiar with her work. So Ubake and Nokwande and Anele, I've seen the work that they do. So I'm familiar and I know how good they are. So Dr. Zenda, maybe it's just about familiarity. But I love that it's for black, educated, competent experts. But please just allow them to give their real life opinion. As I said, I think in one of the other reviews, the way that they structure this show, the Australian version, I would prefer that, where in each episode we see the experts sitting down and watching tape of what has been filmed and giving commentary on that. And it's not necessarily commentary that the participants will hear. It's for us at home because once again, this is edutainment for me because in terms of navigating relationships and learning how to navigate ourselves through those relationships, this can be such an impactful show for something like that. And so what we don't need is, the handling of the participants with kid gloves while they're in therapy. I think even with the participants, we really just could have given some more constructive feedback. And I say that because as much as I loved the experts' positions and opinions, it just, some of it is such, it's in stark contrast in this episode to, how they were showing up before when it was like, how, but that's how you really feel about these people. Like, okay, when couple of episodes ago, you were telling people not to put so much pressure on themselves. Now you outright saying they're not compatible and it's a disaster. Like, anyway, we'll get to that. So, Sebenzile and Buitsepo, Nokwanda is busy saying that, for her, you know, the lack of disagreement and friction was also a concern for her. Thank you. Because she says the fights are what actually brings out the real person inside, pagati, the one that God knows, the one that we are trying to hide from other people when we are in Cholo and our representatives are what we are putting in the forefront. And so for her, she was saying that's a concern because we don't actually know what the real personalities are without the fights. Ubake then counters by saying we need to move away from a narrative that, if there are no fights, then something is hidden. Bake's assessment is that Witepo and Sebenzile are two people who have worked on themselves and therefore their fights are minimal. I don't know if I would agree with that. And I like that, Ubake and Nokwanda as husband and wife can have different opinions because that's great. We don't have to think the same way. I don't know if I agree with Ubake. I think with the first part, yes. Just because people are not fighting and arguing all of the time does not mean that there isn't a real relationship that's happening. Where the question mark comes in is that, firstly, these are strangers. So it's not like these are people who've been in a relationship for 6 months, a year plus, where they've gotten to the point where I understand and know you, and I understand and know, we understand and know each other better. You know what I mean? Number one. Number two, I have not seen it demonstrated on this show that Sebenzile or Buitepo are people who've done work on themselves. I don't, and I'm not saying that they haven't, but I have not seen it demonstrated on this show that these are two self actualized, self aware individuals. I haven't seen that. Maybe Bake has seen it behind the scenes, and this is tape that was not shown to us, but I have no evidence of that. It's also because I think of the narrative that producers created for these people, and I think their segments were probably also very produced. And there was a lot of content maybe that was not shown to us. But Asebenzile or Buitsepo giving self-actualized, I know I've done some healing work. I know who I am. I know how to. They're not giving me that personally. They weren't giving me a lot of anything, to be honest. Um, but fine. Um, Buitepo comes in and she's, you know what? I'm gonna give it to her. Short hair looks beautiful on this girl. Buitepo, keep pushing that short hair, girl. It looked fire. Looked fire. It works. And she looked very nice in the dress. And she says that her energy has shifted since she's been in a relationship with Usebenzile because, she can get home and he treats her like a baby girl and, he treats her like a princess, like Ikanda, and she's able to just submit and, put down her armor and she doesn't have to be a tough cookie anymore. Has created that space. We are happy for you. She said she was very skeptical in the beginning when she's reading her vows, but eventually she realized that, this guy is actually an overthinker, because I think his moments of silence and just looking into the distance were making her a little bit uneasy. She says that they've planted a flower or a seed of trust in their relationship and it has now flourished and it's beautiful and their space is warm and safe and she chooses him over and over again. And who expect Nokwanda's face?
Of our lives and choose one another over and over and over again without fail and without hesitation.
Is telling us everything that she would not say. At that comment of choosing him over and over again. Hey guys, Nokwanda, loving her. Beautiful woman. Loving the facial expressions. Because, as they say, sometimes we can control our mouths, but our faces require deliverance sometimes. Anyway, Sebenzile is there with his vows. He says he had originally vowed to be a co pilot and a leader for them. And the last few months have really been a test for him when it comes to that. Says he's enjoyed spending time with her, but, he doesn't really know if, na enjoyment is enough to sustain a marriage. Even this, I was skeptical. He was trying to play it up like, I'm on the ledge. I don't know which way I'm going. Stop playing in our faces, Sebenzile. We know you were going to say yes. Please. That's like these vows also. Motswako ya di producers ka mogare. I don't know if these people really wrote these things themselves. They might have like come with a skeleton, and then there was a copywriter in the back who was just like, "Artele spice, artele the herbs, artele time, oregano, coriander. Yeah. Anyway, he thanks her for being there and for allowing him to be himself. And it's beautiful. And they kiss. And Sebenzile, in the post interview says that he really likes being called Ungwenya by Upuitepo. And Puitepo was, saying, Ngwenya, I'm so proud of you and I'm so proud of us. And it just filled him with pride. And he felt like, yeah, Ubaba wasekaya. And Dr. Zenda made a very interesting comment, and I think it was on point, where she said, Buitepo knows how to play the game. She's a smart girl. And she is a smart girl, guys. She is a smart girl. Because lifting that man up, stroking the ego in the way that it needs to be stroked. And sometimes I think us modern day women, Remo, which is great in certain situations. But I think what we could learn and take a page from Buitepo's book and our other mothers out there is that there is a certain level of ego stroking that we really do need to be doing and uplifting these men who deserve it, not just everybody in the streets. But there is validation that these men need to hear from us. And I think Buitepo is an example of how she carried herself, respecting herself and respecting Usebenzile, calling him Ngwenya, making him feel like Ubaba wasekaya, giving him his place, all of those things. And yes, some of you might be listening and be like, this girl is endorsing and rubber stamping the patriarchy. But there is a case study, Sebenzile and Buitepo, there's the case study that like, Yazin, some of these men just need to hear it. Robin Thicke told us, a man just needs to hear it. They need to hear it sometimes, and feel like, yes, I'm that man. So, Buitepo knows how to play the game. Bake says this is what happens when two people who've done the work get married. Abashapela matsoho. As I said, question mark, what work? Where was it demonstrated? Me, I didn't see it. If you saw it, please let me know in the comments. Maybe it's just me. But there was nothing in these people's behavior and conversations, because as I said, the conversations between the two of them about real things, where did we see it? That would demonstrate that, okay, these are people who are thoughtful, who reflect, who introspect, who have some wisdom and experience, who have an awareness of themselves, awareness of others, who can, demonstrate emotional maturity. I don't know where those things happened, but let's move on. Then, rakena ko drama. Laibona drama. Yeah, they're bold and they're beautiful with Kumo and Tabang. Jehovah. This was the dumpster fire. This was the crime scene. Let's get into it. So the experts start off, and high five to Anele, because before they even started with the vows, these two, he was like, these two were a recipe for disaster. Anele says Kumo was actually not ready for a real, meaningful relationship that confronts her with herself. She was not ready for that. And I was like, thank you, Anele. Very astute. Where was this commentary in the last 11 episodes? But it's fine. I already touched on that. People are making a TV show, perhaps. But I'm glad y'all brought it for the last episode so that we can see you've got the chops, you've got the lever to call a thing a thing. And that is the thing that needed to be called out. So we start, Uma Kumo is walking down the steps, wearing her champagne dress. And we hear her commentary there where she's like, at first glance, she wasn't very pleased with her match, Utabang, that was on wedding day, because she was like, a strat mate. And in a little while, we're going to find out that that term was her calling, she was the pot calling the kettle black, because strat mate came on between the two of you. Strat mate, Lily too. Anyway, if Tabang's revelations are to be believed, it's strat mating across the board here. Anyway, she says that she believes that Utabang could be a good husband, but she's in two minds about it because, muthu wa ko strateng. Tabang ena, in his getting ready, he said he's made his decision and he's 100% sure and he knows what he's about to do. Oh, let's just lubricate. Anyway, when they meet, they're standing there face to face. Obviously, the first thing Umakuma's going to do is to deflect from whatever nerves that she's feeling. And she makes a comment about, why is Tabang bouncing? Why are you walking like that? And you can see, like, Tabang is serious. He's serious about what he's come to do here. And her comment, I think, just makes things more awkward and highlighted how tense things were. And I don't know, is this a nervous tick or does she do it to, minimize her discomfort in situations, this use of humor, but her humor is very pointed and accusatory as well. So it's not really a hee hee ha ha re tshega together. It's a hee hee ha ha ke tshega wena, or I'm laughing at your expense. That's been the way that I've experienced her humor. Anyway, wrong time, wrong place. She starts to read her vows. And she's like, I'm gonna read my vows now. And then Tabang is like, vows? Shocked. And I was like, why is he shocked at the word vows? Because what have you written, Tabang? I see the vows clearly. That was the first sign that it was about to go down in flames here. So she says she's always dreamed of her wedding day, and she's always wondered if this perfect, long-lasting union exists. Language, guys, very important. For me, when I'm listening and somebody's talking about a relationship and the word perfect is in the mix, question mark, because where is there a perfect relationship that exists? And if that's something that you're wondering about or trying to determine if it's out there, it's for me an indication of the level of maturity that you're at. And I don't say that to insult Umakuma. I know I've spoken a lot about her maturity level. It's not, I'm not saying it to pull her down and to bring her down, but this is a show that is a demonstration for the rest of us, in what we can learn. And I think the older one gets, and let's not forget, I think she is like 25, and the more you live through life, the more complexity I think that you start to become accustomed to, and you recognize that a lot of living is really about balancing the paradox of life, and that black and gray is a fallacy, and things are, black and white is a fallacy and things are a lot more gray. And so even relationships, perfect, that's got Disney, that's what Sleeping Beauty, little Cinderella, and maybe whatever soapies, South African soapies that people watch, I don't know, these days. That's where you can get these perfect things. But when they are two or more, because, people be out here in different types of relationships, but when they are human beings relating with each other, complex, gray, paradox. Anyway, so she says for her, she was wondering if this perfect, long lasting union can be a thing. And she says that now she's found a mirror in a rare, true love, in a healthy relationship with Taban. What? True love, rare. Where? Like, I don't know, guys, but from having watched Umakuma and Tabang, there was nothing that she was giving that was telling me that she even loved Utabang. What? Now, get the red true love in the vows. Babes, I don't know. Maybe you guys saw it. Did you see it? Because I didn't see it. So hearing her saying these things in these vows, I was just like, from where? From where are you talking about these things? She says Tabang challenged her and inspired her to be the best that she can be. She says that Utabang is her best friend, her confidant, and quote unquote, her one true love. This is what I'm going to say is that I hope, Makumo, that there's a 6-figure deposit that you saw in your bank account for that performance. Because, what? One true love, confidant, best friend, that was not translating through the screen at all. At all. And maybe these are the parts of the relationship that you didn't want to show people. I can say it. But when you are out here on camera and it was lights, camera, action, a lot of the time it looked like you could barely tolerate this guy, or he's just like a homie that I chill and drink with and smoke happily with. Like that's what it was giving us, and that resainile to do this. So let's just white knuckle and get through this experience. But best friend, confidant, one true love. And even Tabang's face was also just like, his face was a whole question mark, a whole one. Anyway, after her performance, Tabang then asks, so what's your decision? Because it's not clear from the vows. Then she says, well, based on what I just said in my vows, I choose you, I think. Tabang, you think? The jokes, you see, and the problem with the jokes, and because I gotta go one true love, give best friend, give confident, give real love, but you think that you choose him. Then Tabang comes in with his vows to demonstrate that when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Because Tabang then starts off in his vows by saying, the experience taught him teamwork and communication, and it was new for him to have to live with another person. It was very challenging. He says he found her charming and outgoing and that she was charismatic, and he had asked her, to open up because she was very guarded and, that was presenting as a challenge. And when he asked her, he said that, it only changed once, i.e. you only let the armor down, put down the armor and the weapons once, and because of her inability, I think, to be open with him, he says it pushed them further away. There she is, Makumo nodding with everything that Tabang's saying. I don't know if that was just a reflex or if she was nodding in agreement with the things that he was saying. Then Tabang, he starts now, in the beginning when they had started, he had asked her if there are any sort of attachments or entanglements that she has from her past, and people that she was sleeping with, and if she could put an end to all of that so that they could give this thing a real chance. Then he says it turns out Makumo was still allegedly entangled. Answer the files, brother, answer the files. Baby girl, he saw on the text messages that she actually was still very much entangled with somebody. We can't even say from the past because he was in the present. And that she was doing a bring back my lover, that the text message. Our baby girl had even created a ghost account allegedly. And that ghost account with that fictitious character was talking to her entanglement and trying to help and counsel her entanglement on the ways to win her, the real Makumo, back. What? Skaka. Face crack. This is a lot. And he was like, you were basically using that ghost account and to advise your lover on how to win you back whilst you are in a marriage with me. You are busy encouraging that man to fight for your love while married to me. You are trying to make sure that that other man is heartbroken over you whilst you are in the bed married to me. Allegedly married. But to me, for drama, married to me. Calls her behavior foul. Thabang then says in his diary session that there were certain patterns of behavior where he was seeing how this person is moving. I don't know, man. Something smells fishy. He started investigating, asking her questions, and he's like, she's not being truthful about these questions. So he went on a little Sherlock Holmes experiment and found out that she was basically building herself a safety net to make sure that if this married at first sight did not work out, on a backup plan. And so Thabang are exposing on the national television, playing stupid games, winning stupid prizes. And I suppose that explains why, I experienced Umakumo as detached and disassociated, and that she wasn't here, because she wasn't. She even admits in her own diary session that I'd left the relationship before I left the relationship with Thabang, but then I came back and then I left, and then I came back and then I left. So it was just hopscotch, yadi lovers, and then hopscotch into her ghost account also. Also, guys, I say this with just love and curiosity. Y'all really have time to be creating ghost accounts, with this full-time job. Makubo, your hours, some 70s all over the show. You're working hard, girl. Nah, go for this. Woo, it's a lot. It's a lot. Thabang then says, perhaps, she's young and she's misguided and, she's unable to commit. And he's not going to hold it against her behavior because she has her reasons. Which sounded a little patronizing in the beginning, but when I'm putting it in the greater context of this behavior, yeah, maybe, maybe. The things that he's saying, listen, he had already exposed her, and her alleged actions. So, maybe uzamokofodisa now, putting some Dettol on that wound that he just opened by telling her that she had her reasons for sure. And he finished his vows with, from your dearly beloved ex-husband. Dun, 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 ka. The one thing I will give Umakumo for how she handled that was that it's a good thing that she's neck down dead and quite disassociated, because she was able to maintain her face and her reactions through all that was happening, because this was a blind side moment for real. For real. And if this is all television and false, listen, I'll give it up for the performance for the both of you. Y'all did it. But if this was for real, baby girl did her best to hold it together. Her first response is then, so I gave you the PIN code for my phone, and this is what you do. You're going through my phone. Thabang, that's not the chat that we're having right now. Hey, don't bring in another chat. Finish this chat, then we can exit this chat, and then we can enter the other chat. It was tough. It was tough. I think it was hard. If I'm to put myself in Makumo's shoes, this is not the way that I want you to be telling me about my things. But this is how the cookie crumbles, Then she deflects again and accuses him of speaking to other women. what does that have to do with the allegations that have been made against you? You know? And maybe that is true and it's real. When were you going to address that? Because Tabang, let's not lie, Teddy Bear, friend of the babies, we can tell, we can see, it is evident. I don't think he even denied that. But she then says she needs to go take off her shoes. And she exits stage left. Gooby, good tense, good damn it. It's a lot. Yeah! Then we get to the experts. They're watching this and they're giving us their commentary. Shock all around. Anele says it was tough, but it was necessary because we need to normalize ending things that are unhealthy, which is a great observation and a great learning moment for all of us. Dr. Zenda says Umakumo could have taken a lot more accountability, which I also support because she didn't actually take any accountability, not even a lot, but she didn't take any accountability for what Tabang placed at her feet during the recommitment ceremony. It was rough. And then they speak about, at the core, there really was no connection between the two of them. It seemed like Tabang was the one who wanted more and Makuma was playing, a catch me if you can. And that this was all a game. And by the time she wanted to take things seriously, which is now in these vows, it was way too late. And I think, rather than maligning Makumalo and Tabang and how everything happened here, once again, we can use it as a lesson because I think we do live in a culture and a society at the moment, particularly with these dating apps, of, where even, hey guys, relationships and love have also just been commodified, and the rotten values of capitalism are also what we are now adopting in how we navigate relationships, which is that there's always something bigger, better, just on the other side. And so I think this relationship and what transpired is a good example for us to see that this thing of wanting to build safety nets and to have the multiple options and to never really make a commitment and to never really be present, this is asking us the question that, is that sustainable in the long run? Because it can be all fun and games when you are young, when you are beautiful, when your skin is supple, when you are fertile. At some point, you are going to have to make a decision. But are we a society of people that's able to do that? And are we motivated in the right ways to do that? Because even in marriage, we know there's still people who still haven't left the game. They're still in the game. They're still out searching. Like at the club. I mean, I don't go to clubs. Haven't been to clubs in years. But I think one of the things I hated about being in clubs was that you'd go there and instead of us just like jamming to the music and having a good time with your friends, being in the clubs now became about going there and being seen, and everybody is just watching everybody else. And rather than being present in the joy of jam and minati, we are just observing and looking, and then maybe some guy might come and chat to you and it's hee hee ha ha, but oh, look over there's a better looking guy who's got a table with more bottles or whatever, and that for me is the same analogy of, I think, how we're approaching dating, that you never really are present and accounted for in these relationships, because we're always just looking for something better. And if there's one thing that I see that I don't like in this person, that immediately means, girl, you know what, start pumping your life raft and start lining up another person on the conveyor belt, And I'm not saying that we must all put our eggs with the first person who says hello, and put all those eggs in one basket. The question is just, as we look at this couple as a demonstration, how is that strategy, ya Makumalo, working for you? If it's working for you in your life, high five. But is it not? If what your true intention, if it is your intention, is to settle down with a partner. This type of behavior, how does that align with that intention? Anyway, we move on to the last. Woo, woo, Tammy and Zitobile, guys. You know what? I started off watching this episode thinking, hey, maybe this is going to be the episode where I'm just not. But no, because Tammy is doing what Tammy does best. Because this was just another mess. We start off with the experts. I loved it because from the jump, Anele calls out Tammy's selfish behavior. From the jump, they haven't even said their vows, they haven't even said anything. Bake says that they are not compatible, and Unokwanda highlights that, it seems like there's a whole lot of begezela that's happening here, where people have to nga, and we are holding on for the next day, and then the next day is still rough, and we're going to hold on for the next day, and it's just nyamezel, begezel, all the way. Love the commentary. As I said, would have appreciated it throughout the season, but calling a thing, thank you, because I've been reading some of these comments on like some of the other, the little Mzansi clips on YouTube, and like there's a lot of comments from women especially where it's just like, oh guys, we need to heal Lorona as women, where a lot of women are calling out Uzitobile as Ustaefe, and that Tammy is trying and can't she see? No guys, Tammy is a selfish, self-centered individual who is here for his own needs, full stop. And he's also here to make TV because he clearly wants to be a personality. And maybe I'm willing to give him, there's a 5% of him that is like, let me not look like the villain out of this show. But even that motivation, I think, is pure self-interest and is about managing his image more than actually trying to foster a real, authentic, loving connection with another person. Even if it was just on a friendship level and that, Zini, I want to be on TV, but I'm going to push her to try and be a friend. Couldn't even do it. Anyway, as Tammy's walking there, Koshepston Gardens, he's talking about, if he knows the decision that he's going to make. If she chooses to stay with him, he'll be happy. If she chooses to go, he'll also be happy. He doesn't care either way. Negro doesn't care a damn. A damn. He'll be happy if you stay. He'll be happy if you go. What? Zitobile is talking as she's walking that she's still very confused and she doesn't know what she's going to decide. And she thought that she'd be sure by now, but she's not. And she's actually just scared. They get there, they face each other. How tense, how awkward. Zitobile is not even looking him in the eyes. She's looking just to the left, to the right, anywhere but straight. What I will give both of them, they looked good, okay? Tammy looked good in like the suit that he was wearing. Zitobile looked great in her dress. So then we start. Tammy says his vows, which were just like, where are these coming from? Whomst wrote them? Because just a few quotes that I jotted down, he's talking about time waits for no man, talking about independent variables. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is victory. What in the chat GPT is this? These vows literally sounded like he went to chat GPT and was like, write me some wedding vows and recommitment vows. And this is what he came out with. He then thanks her for taking care of him and for being a good wife. Because obviously what matters to Tammy is all of the things that Zitobile is doing for him. That has been the common thread and theme is that it's, what have you done for me lately? There was nothing in those vows that related to Zitobile as a person. It was all about him. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for being a good wife to me. Those chat GPT vows, very detached, very hollow, very much a performance. And seen because Tammy had it with you. Had it. And we'll see what's going to go down in this reunion. But for me, even as somebody who wants to be famous and on TV, you could have done a better job acting. That's all I'm going to say. We get to Zitobile's vows. She talks about living together was very difficult. You know, the first week was a mess. She wanted to leave. She wanted to get out. But that therapy helped. The therapists were talking to them, you know, and coaching them and guiding them. And then Tammy started being present in the experiment and in the relationship. She prayed and she cried. And now she's finally come to the decision that the experts' faces say it all. Their reactions say more than I could ever say in words.
I'm choosing to say I'm staying with you.
I'm sorry about everything. That I'm still gonna be actually recognized as the man in the house. I'm still gonna be continuing eating nice food. So, yeah, I'm happy about the decision that she made.
When she said she chooses him, Tammy says, "Oh, he's so happy. Thank you for choosing me." Zitobile then asks, "Aren't you going to choose me too?" And I'm here to tell you, no, Zitobile. He doesn't choose you too. He doesn't. Tammy chooses Tammy. Full stop. Then we have a very awkward moment after that, followed by a very awkward kiss. Can't. Experts commentary. Ubake says he's not happy about this couple and the decision that was made because he doesn't like it when people choose each other without authenticity. And Unokwanda is like, these two are going to hate each other even more because compatibility here was never there. What was happening here is we were making television. And I really think the only person who was not aware of that out of Tammy and Zitobile was Zitobile. And I just hope, Gail, that you have woken up and smelt the coffee. Mez! And that is the end of the review for the finale of Married at First Sight, episode 12. If you've made it to the end of this video, congratulations, well done. You know, I thought it was going to be like 90 minutes. So, like, for me, an hour and a couple of minutes over is not so bad because it was rough, but I tried to give you guys as much detail as possible so that I watch it, so that you do not have to watch it. And let's gird our loins to get through this reunion. And I think the fact that I saw that, I think the reunion doesn't have a reunion host. I think the experts are going to be the ones running things. And I really hope they bring the same energy that they had in this episode of asking difficult questions, of holding people accountable, and of calling a thing a thing. Thank you for making it to the end. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. I see that we are slowly and steadily making it to 100 subscribers, guys. I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful to everybody who supports the channel, who watches. And, you know, if there's things that you take out of this in your own life, for me, that is, that just fills my heart. That's what this is really about. And please don't forget to click the notification bell button so that you can know when I upload, because those who've been here know Rakgadi is not always on time, but she gets to it and she gives it to you how you like it. So have a fabulous week ahead and continue to spread love and not hate. Ciao.